This video is going to be a film study look at the Ravens' fourth possession in Saturday's 13-12 win over the Falcons. A review, if you will, of each individual play. In some instances, I'll go through the all-22 and the end zone angle film. I feel like there's some offensive line stuff that should be explained or should be talked about from my knowledge and my perspective. Not particular to the whole game, but just this possession. I think you get some things that illustrate some of our difficulties. Point number two, it's pretty obvious that Todd Monken will be moving in and out of various personnel groups, just like he did in the 2023 season, his first year in Baltimore. When you look at the drive summaries at times, or at least the data that I track and collect, Todd Monken's going to be moving in and out of 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 21, occasionally 22, depending on the situation. And he did that in Saturday's game against the Falcons. I feel like there was a clear focus or attempt to try to work on 12 personnel or 21 personnel run concepts, which to a large extent were really shut down by the Falcons' outside linebackers / DNs and their inside linebackers. 40 and 52 played a heck of a game. We'll get this started with the first play of the fourth possession. I'll try to project forward in some of these situations the players that the Ravens will be using from a starting standpoint and what personnel groups. This is obviously 12. I like max protect stuff, particularly against a team's base defense. And you can see what is developed here. 5 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends. And the way the Ravens do this is very similar to the way that multiple other teams across the NFL and college football do it. They'll slide protect to one side, in this case the left side, and then allow 2 tight ends or a tight end and a fullback to deal with the edge defender on the opposite side. The thought process is that individual edge rusher, whoever it is probably too talented for one tight end, so let's give him 2. And the way they do it in this case is Ishmael ends up dealing with him initially, and then 88 Kolar kind of takes it over. So you can see it's a 7-man protection scheme. 38 is checking and then releasing out into the flats. I think you've got a version of a Tampa 2 here by the Falcons. The play action nature drew up the nickel defender. Actually, the Falcons are in their nickel defense here, which is interesting. They've rolled up one of the inside linebackers to create kind of a 5-1 look with 2 edge defenders, 1 inside linebacker. So it ends up being a 5-1. And I believe here is the nickel defender, obviously set to the field. Josh Johnson, third possession, really got things going, throwing the ball outside the numbers, down the field, 10 to 12 to 14 yards deep. This is to the running back late. Only 2 receivers out in the route. I understand there's certain people who get fired up and get angry when there's only 2 receivers out in the route. I will say this. At times in the regular season, as the coaches, they know if they line up in 12 personnel and go under center, that the coverage umbrella, the options for the defense is more limited because generally they're going to get the base defensive personnel like they've got on the very next play. This is a short run by Collier, and I feel like Jones, I don't give you the end zone angle of this one. I feel like Jones does not do a good job here at all on the combo with Kolar. You got basically a split zone look, if you ask me. Combo here, and then what looks like man-to-man on the backside. I feel like this combo between Voorhees and Cleveland is working out well. This one's not getting as much lateral push, but when the inside linebacker 52, who played extremely well, when he starts to fill downhill, Jones, who looks like he has his eyes on him, isn't able to come off. Looks like maybe he got jarred up under the chin or in the neck or something like that, and 52 gets a clean run through. I feel like we're in a pretty good situation otherwise for the running back Collier to be able to make some type of cut or downhill move either outside of that combo there or try to squeeze it off of Voorhees' backside if presumably Jones picks 52 up. I felt like Jones did not play as well against the run. In pass set situations, he seems quite reliable for the level of player that we've got in the salary commitments that's there. I feel like Rosengarten's doing a pretty good job up here on this particular play. It's a third down, third play of the drive, obviously. 2nd and 9, We've gone 11 personnel, and the Falcons have responded with a zone. I think you've got quarter, half. So I think this is the half side up here, and then you've got quarter and quarter. But the reaction to the Falcons is either a blown coverage or they're reading something and playing man post-snap to the field. Because you can see the expansion of the inside linebacker going with the running back while the nickel defender who initially pushed to the flats deals with Cunningham. That kind of man reaction by the inside linebacker and the nickel allowed that space to develop for Josh Johnson once Jones did what I think is a pretty decent job with the edge defender up to the top side, who's trying to go underneath. Jones just rides him out of there, gives Johnson the lane to step up. The man nature or look of it, at least, opened up more space. Johnson is able to get 8 yards. This is the third down, 3rd and 1. Another disappointing situation in the run game, if you ask me. I think Rosengarten is playing this the correct way. It's a power scheme. So Falele is pulling and wrapping. You've got 35, which is presumably going to be the kick-out block. The Falcons wrong-arm this like they did much of the day. So 47 digs underneath the kick-out block, and then 52 is able to scrape exchange outside. You'll get the end zone angle of this one. But the breakdown here, I think, is 84 on the backside. And when you get the end zone angle, you'll see the angle that 41 is able to take as a backside safety walking up and then running down the line of scrimmage. Since Falele is pulling and wrapping, you're getting a back block by Cleveland on the 3 technique here. Rosengarten is also cupping on the backside, so he's able to help with this, and he's able to secondary help with the defensive end. I think 84 has got to deal with 41. It's a 3rd and short situation. We're not trying to get 5 yards. Rosengarten, as you can see, is dealing with the defensive end after helping Cleveland out on the back block. I think that's the primary breakdown. We still got issues with 52 on the front side. Other people may have broken down this play and have a different opinion, but for me, for my money on a power concept, tight end on the backside, if he's got a DN crossing his face, he's got to know that 70, the backside tackle, is going to be able to cut back and deal with this. And you have to defend any nickel or edge blitzer that's lined up outside of you. Otherwise, they can run it down from the backside, just like they did there for a loss of 1. 4th possession, we had not scored to this point. So we go forward on this 4th and 2 from near midfield. 200 sprint, so a sprint out to the right. Ishmael is the tight end. So everybody is moving to this side because we're going to get rid of the ball quick. We're not dealing with this edge defender at all because schematically the ball should be out. And it's very similar to a lot of stuff that the Chiefs run. The number 1 receiver is going to run a route to the outside shoulder of the nickel. That's intentional to basically shield him, maybe not actually physically make contact with him. The out by Josh Johnson, maybe there's not a whole lot of mustard on that ball, but it was enough to get there. For Cunningham, who's an interesting player, man, for me, this to me is a Zay Flowers play, meaning use his agility, his ability to run the speed out quickly. There's really less of a bend there, less of an abrupt angle there. It's more of a bend than I drew up. Short speed out, 4th and 2. Utilize Flowers out into the flats against man. Lamar's got more arm than Josh Johnson, obviously. We'll give the end zone angle so you can see it. Josh Johnson really got going on a 3rd and 4th possession, man. You got to give him credit. I think he was 4 of 12 last week, or 5 of 12, to come off and be 11 of 11 against the Falcons, who pretty physical and quick and young on defense, if you ask me. 13 yards here for Cunningham. You can see the nature of the sprint out passing attack, running behind the running back, not necessarily looking to scramble. You've either got the out or maybe late Kirkwood, on a deeper out, but that's really the only 2 options you got. Whenever you've got a shield concept in terms of the number 1 receiver's release, I feel like that's pretty much telling you this is what we're going for. This is the route we're throwing. 1st and 10, we go Trey out of true 12 personnel versus their base. There's a lot to say about some of our run blocking. It's a 3-yard gain for Collier. This is a Derrick Henry play. That should be quite obvious. It's to the field with the ability to then cut this downhill. All we need is one seam with a guy like Derrick Henry, and he's going to drag people and or be able to make people miss. Also, off of it, you've got the boot, quite obviously, complementary play into the boundary where you really isolate the backside outside linebacker. 12 personnel, 21 personnel in this formation. Trey is going to be interesting, if you ask me, with Derrick Henry back there at tailback. Keaton Mitchell, it would be a blessing if we were able to see that guy in a jersey this this in a jersey, active this year in a helmet, that is, because the combination of him and Derrick Henry in the run game would be ridiculous. Maybe not at the same time, but we've got a counter play here. I think we've got multiple problems with this one. Rosengarten getting blown up by the inside linebacker 40. As soon as Falele's posture gets broken, and you will see this from the end zone angle, I continue to mention that the moment Falele becomes top heavy and his posture is broken either by movement by himself or a defender or by hand contact or some engagement, I feel like he goes from being whatever you want to rate him as, C+, B-, whatever, I don't care, to a D. The moment his posture is broken, he's in trouble. And we'll give you the end zone angle so you can see what I'm talking about. It's a counter scheme out of a gun. So we're pulling the center, in this case Cleveland, to kick out, pulling the tackle to wrap. We did this with Linderbaum and Moses, occasionally Linderbaum and Stanley. And we're supposed to be getting a down block by Falele. Now, Rosengarten does step on his foot here. I'm going to run this back multiple times. I think he's already out of position before his foot gets stepped on. One more time. Let's just see the whole thing, and then we'll do coach video. So you got a short step by Falele, and then immediately he's broken his own posture. He's very top heavy, stepping forward, kind of grabbing. Rosengarten is on his foot, and he misses the down block almost completely. Additional to that, I think 40 blows up Rosengarten here. To me, Rosengarten is trying to do the outside hand swat, which we saw him do a lot at Washington. And here, 40 is just stronger and has a lower pad level, and it's not happening. I think he's getting blown up here. You know, he's not getting destroyed and knocked back into Cleveland. But for me, even if we're getting a down block here by Falele, I don't want my right tackle, who's a talented dude, to be trying to execute a swat when really he should just take the guy down. Ends up being a loss of 2. I don't think the right side did a good job there at all. 3rd and 9. This is the check X dig to Wallace. Typical 4-2 alignment. Man on number 1. Zone drop by the inside linebackers. Significant window to throw this through for Josh Johnson. So when I say zone drop, you've got zone drop underneath, zone drop here. Pretty much man across the board up to the top side, backside safety, dealing with Tylan Wallace. Pretty good job, I thought, by the left tackle initially, although he gets rode back into Josh Johnson's lap right as the ball was thrown. I'll give the end zone angle so you can see it. 41 is the safety that everybody said took a bad angle. I feel like Josh Johnson gives Wallace a chance to go get this. This looks like a pretty good win here. And Falele's got hands on the D tackle. 41 thought the ball was going to get to him. Wallace cuts it. I feel like it's displaying a tremendous amount of confidence and trust in Tylan Wallace by Josh Johnson to deliver that football like that right in front of the safety. Falele looks like a guy who's not going to get beat to the side where he's told you have to win here. So the running back is filling here, A gap, inside hip for Falele. Falele's got to handle B gap pretty much by himself. If the D tackle was to go A gap, let's just say, and an inside linebacker was to go B gap, well, then now Falele and the running back have got to handle that. From the 2 games that I've seen, Falele generally has not lost to the side he's responsible for. When I have seen him lose, I think twice so far, it's been to the side where he's supposed to have help and he's anticipating that help. And for whatever reason, maybe the timing of it or the timing of the stunt or the rush didn't work. Seen this speaking of not working, seen this play twice now through 2 weeks. Bunch right A with the running back to this side. I feel like this is a Derrick Henry play. If you paid attention to my channel or you've maybe heard other people say it, for years in the Greg Roman offense, yeah, we've got a free runner by the inside linebacker. But from a conceptual standpoint, for years in the Greg Roman offense, we did not run back here, meaning where we had guard, tackle, receiver. No matter what the backfield alignment, whether it was a pistol alignment, occasionally under center in his offense, whatever it was, we did not run back to the single receiver side unless there was a fullback and a tailback, and the fullback was looping to that side as well. So you had some type of key as a defense, some type of read that you could look at and recognize that we were going to run there. So even though it's an unsuccessful play, I'm pointing to this as evidence that we are committed. I've seen it twice, once against the Eagles, once against the Falcons. We're committed to running back to the one receiver side. Why am I bringing that up? Well, the Titans did that a ton with Derrick Henry. They forced you to defend into the boundary with the run game and the pass. We happen to be inside the 5, so there's a lot more defenders here at the second level. Imagine this play called near the midfield, the 50 or the negative 40 or the positive 40. A lot of teams are going to be in a too high look. Credit 52 for getting in the backfield. It looks to me like Falele whiffs here totally with the D tackle. It didn't exactly whiff. He tried to shoulder barge him quickly, which is a viable technique, and then the D tackle won to the outside, but that's away from the play side. So I'd be okay with that. 2nd and goal from the 3, and this is going to be loss of 3. This is pretty poor. These short yardage, under center situations, we're not doing a good job of handling at all. But to reference the previous play, look at Rosengarten helping on the back block by Cleveland, and then looking to cup on the backside. So we'll start there on the backside. Falele is the puller. I think the Ravens coaching staff is trying to find out if he can do this. I think they're trying to find out if Falele can get to where he's supposed to. Unfortunately, in this particular situation, we are not creating a great wall to the front side. You also have a great fill by, I think, both inside linebackers sneak through here, 40 and 52. And then you get a tackle in the backfield by, I believe that's 52. No, it's 38, one of the DBs, excuse me. How much of this translates when we have starting offensive linemen on the field? Andrews, likely, Ricard, along with Derrick Henry, I don't know. But it should be concerning because we're watching the film of it. We're watching the game live, and then we're watching the film of it by various content creators or highlights, and it doesn't look good, particularly in the run game. I feel like this is Josh Johnson's least accurate throw of the 3rd and 4th possession. Because if he gets this out here a split second faster, and if he hits Owen Wright to the front side, then 52 can't catch up with him. 52's making a heck of an effort here, don't get me wrong, and I've praised him twice. This will be the 3rd time for nearly keeping Wright out of the end zone. But the fact of the matter is, on this cheat concept, when you have what you normally have is someone pinning down on the edge defender. In this case, we've eschewed that option, and 83 has allowed 52 to flow over top of him. And I guess 83 Ishmael was taught, if you miss, then let's go on ahead and curl back to the outside, make yourself available. I feel like that's the least accurate throw, that Johnson made, even though it goes down as a touchdown pass, number 1. Number 2, I feel like it's a really poor job of pinning down by 83. Think of how the Eagles accomplished it last week. They used a receiver to pin down on our defensive end. It was Harrison. In this case, we're leaving him unblocked. Different philosophy, conceptually the same thing. Great effort, if you ask me, by Oliver. 4th possession was fun to watch, if you ask me. A lot of different concepts. The under center run stuff should be a concern. It absolutely should be. Because even though we may say, well, we don't have our starters out there from an offensive line standpoint, well, I don't know that the Falcons and the Eagles have their starters out there all the time on the defensive line as either. So I feel like the matching of talent is equivalent. We should be able to execute the concepts that our coaches, our position coaches, and our coordinators are asking us to execute. I'm going to be honest with you. After watching the film of the Falcons game, this is a too early impression, and I hope I'm way wrong. This team looks a little looser than last year, and that's just based on watching 2 preseason games. We haven't seen Roquan Smith. We haven't seen Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Kyle Hamilton, none of those guys. There are things we're trying to execute here that I feel like I see less efficiency in execution on the offensive and the defensive side. You're welcome to let me know if you don't share that assessment, and I may be drastically wrong. This team could come out there and go 13-4 or 14-3. We certainly have the talent to do so. Things look looser to me. There seems to be less efficiency in execution, and I'm welcome to hear people disagree with that, and I won't argue. I could be wrong. I could be overly negative, but I've sat and watched the defensive film here Sunday, most of the day and Sunday afternoon, and the offensive film, and to me, I'm seeing a lack of execution that has piqued my interest in a negative way. Feel free to let me know what you think of that thought in the comment section. If you had fun watching the fourth possession, let me know. If you had fun watching my breakdown, obviously, please let me know in the comment section. Every comment and every like kind of helps the video get pushed out to a larger audience. I hope you checked out videos this morning from Coach Evans at Sip to Tally and Cole Jackson. I kind of tried to tag mine third so that we could just allow Ravens fans to watch maybe an hour, hour and a half straight of Ravens-oriented content. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this video, this film study look at the fourth possession, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.